like such a wider.
Are we live?
We're already live. Okay,
Oh,
interesting.
no thumbnail.
Guess not. Okay. So, well, everyone, this is our thoughts and prayers review show, and we're reviewing Alita Battle Angel this week.
So let's start with a brief, spoiler-free synopsis of the movie. Steven?
So basically, there
An
is.
anime cyborg live-action girl who does cool action stuff. Kind of.
Cool.
I mean, there is a plot about like there's a
Love
big
over hovering city.
because 300 years ago. I mean, uh, the year is the 26th century, and 300 years ago, we got the fall. So like World War III, basically, or something of that sort. Um, and the movie begins with Doctor. Did you catch his name? I forgot, but it's
Oh
the
my
Christoph
god.
Waltz
Yeah,
character. He
Christoph Waltz.
finds the core of a android who he names Alita, and after this we see her comeuppance, and we meet
Yeah.
a wide cast of characters, and action happens as expected from Robert Rodriguez, who was the director, and
Yep.
producer James Cameron.
Yep. They
We
also,
yeah. I don't think I told you much about the plot, but it's
no.
just like to even talk about it, it's pretty spoilery. If you've seen the
Yeah.
trailer, you know what you're getting into, I
Yeah.
think.
I don't think you know like specifics as to what she is cuz I thought that was that they're not even super clear about that like really in the movie like as to like they say what she is, but they don't really talk about like who that type of person is or are they even people really? Like they don't really.
I
Okay, do
guess
you want to
my
just get into
understanding is that
spoilers?
her brain is human, her
Her
body is cybernetic. That was
her
my reading of
entire
it.
body, by the way. I think her
Yeah.
brain is the only thing, like her only organ actually, because she doesn't have a heart.
No.
She, I think it's yeah, it's just her brain, and that's basically it. Like,
So try not to ruin anything about the
it's
plot.
anything. Okay.
Uh, your thoughts?
All right. I'm gonna say one thing that's not a spoiler per se. Overall, I think this movie is way too violent for a PG-13 movie, and I know I'm sounding like a dad,
You're
but
such a dad.
I know it's just it's hard for me to recommend this movie because when I was watching it, I could not believe that it was PG-13. It was jarringly
This is probably the
violent.
most violent PG-13 movie
Yeah.
I've seen since Days of Future Past. I want to say that was also pretty
100%
intense.
agree. And that movie had the reason why I said that is because that movie has people getting like ripped in half
Yeah.
and like heads falling off. This
So,
movie has that in
y-
spades.
yeah, I think the first like real action scene we get, you know what you're getting into because the way a character is killed, like especially just the way it was framed and edited and the pacing to it, like basically her head is smashed into the wall and her corpse just like dangles over and falls into the ground and her head is still like right in the wall. So it's pretty intense.
Yeah.
I personally didn't mind the violence. I don't know, to me violence is just a little extra.
Yeah.
Like uh, I care more about the actual action scenes and how well they choreographed they are, how well paced they are, edited, and the impact they have in the plot. So to me, the level of violence, whether there's blood or not, because I mean, in Star Wars, you also get a lot of decapitations and mutilations of all sorts, and there's no blood, and it's still intense. Uh,
Yeah.
so I don't care about the violence personally, but
I think it's just the level of violence
I
that
mean,
I'm not used to.
literally, Anakin kills a lot of kids in Episode 3.
But okay, so you're correct. But to be fair, we don't see it like we see it on a hologram.
I
We're
think
not in the scene
I
with
think it's
them.
way worse that it's left to your imagination.
No, you're right. But like that there's just he's not really okay, so he is killing them, but he's just like hitting them with a lightsaber. So it's not as like we're watching somebody getting ripped apart or their head crushed against a wall. You know, it's like it's 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 horrible, yes, but it's not as graphic, I guess.
Sure.
So it's I don't. It's just God. This movie's so violent. Like,
I like that
sorry.
aspect of it.
Yeah.
Well, not that I liked it, I was indifferent towards it, but some of the action scenes, I really gotta give him credit where credit's due because I still think James Cameron is one of the most ambitious people in Hollywood. Like the fact that he just dared to make this after like 20 years. I think he was first introduced to Alito Battle Angel, the comic book by Guillermo del Toro, like in 1999, and immediately he bought the rights and he wrote like a 190-page script, and he's been working on it for a while. So for it to come to fruition 20 years later, I think it's pretty cool. And I mean, Robert Rodriguez as someone I can kind of always get behind what he does. He's
Same.
just a lot of fun. And so my thoughts in the movie overall, I want to say good job, and but here's the big asterisk. Like Fletcher said in Whiplash, there's no more harmful words in the English dictionary than good job. Like, my thing is, I guess it's not a spoiler, but in the end, this is an origin movie. Like this is the origin of Alita
Yeah.
and what her like her motivations are set up for the next installment.
Yeah.
I'm particularly not a fan of origin stories. To me, they're not real stories. They're just backstory, and every moment you spend on backstory, you waste your time in something you could have spent in moving the story forwards ish. I don't know. It felt very much like an origin story to me, but particularly because Alita
Yeah.
is pretty aimless throughout the like a lot of the movie. Like her motivations change and
Yeah.
move around a lot from.
Well, they kind of stay the same a little bit in that she's trying to do
Well,
what
she's trying to
for the
figure out who
guy.
she is, but then
What is the dude's name? For her?
Hugo.
Hugo.
Yeah.
There you go.
Also gonna talk about the romance briefly.
Yeah.
Well, spoiler free, keeping it spoiler free. I did not like the romance in this movie. I thought it was really lacking and forced. And when we get to the spoiler segment of this discussion, I'm gonna say exactly why I felt that way. But I felt like I
Yeah.
talked for a little too much. How about you?
Oh, well, what we're talking about the things we didn't like so much with this
A
one.
little bit of everything.
I want to say one thing I did like was the character design. I thought they did really interesting stuff with the like cyborg people. There's this game. This is kind of a spoiler because I guess you don't know the name of the game, but like there you
But you
see
see
them
in the
playing
trailer.
something. Yeah, it's called Motorball. All the I guess people, they all have pretty interesting stuff. They have cool
Well,
weapons
I
and
like the
things.
fact that every single cyber person look distinctly different than each other. It's not like generic cyborg, like everyone looks the same.
Yeah.
No, everyone has a different design, and because a lot of them fight or kill or whatever, each one has a different weapon. So the way they fight is also distinct. And I like that. Everyone has a different style of fighting, a different kind of weapon they employ. It was really visually interesting to see whenever you saw Alita fight with any other character because no two
Yeah.
encounters were the same. The techniques they had to employ were different, and I thought it was a lot of fun. Like, as an action movie, yeah, this is a lot of fun, I thought. The
Yeah.
effects, I mean, I guess, would you recommend? Uh, I guess, heads up, did you see an IMAX 3D?
No, but I saw it in Dolby, and Dolby likes to brag about their Dolby Vision,
Uh huh.
but like Dolby, I'm not here for the optics, brother. I'm here for that sound.
Ooh, what do you think about the sound?
Um, it was pretty good. I thought it was interesting. They did a lot of cool stuff with how the cyborgs sound when they
Oh, yeah.
moved. I thought there was
When
some.
they were axed off as well.
Oh yeah. I think that's part of the reason why it made the violence worse for me. It was because watching it in Dolby, because I think it's mixed in Atmos, which is like a really cool. Like they can pan anything anywhere, and
Hmm.
like I think you could hear the little like in the trailer you see this guy with these little chain like whip things, and you can hear them like whooshing through the
Mm.
entire theater. It's pretty cool, but like I don't know, it looked good. I mean,
I saw it in IMAX 3D, and I
yeah.
was like, yeah, this is probably one of the. I haven't seen a 3D movie in a while. I think the last one I saw in 3D, and not because I wanted to see it in 3D, was Thor Ragnarok.
Oh,
I was like, the 3D doesn't do much for me in that movie.
yeah.
Uh, but here, I was like, oh yeah, this is an experience that was meant to be in IMAX 3D.
Dang.
I can't wait for me to see it on. Well, personally, I don't think I'll rewatch this movie
Oh, I
particularly.
would never
Maybe
will.
just as a reference to the special effects. Like, really, I think the star of this movie
Yeah.
are the special effects.
I think it's Weta, if I'm not mistaken, is the name of the people who did the special effects, their
Great
studio or
job,
something.
people. Not good job in the whiplash sense, but
Yeah,
like, genuinely, you
yeah.
did a fantastic job.
I was very visually impressed by everything I saw in that movie.
Definitely.
Great job. But I was not impressed by
The
the
story?
the story and the dialogue. I thought the
Ooh.
dialogue was near like watching an anime dubbed in English. Like, hello, father, how are you? I am good, daughter. Like, we are well. Business was good today. What are you doing? You know, it
Do
just,
you think those were the intentions because it's like an anime movie?
I don't know. It felt too much like,
Yeah, like real people don't talk this way.
yeah,
What do you think about the overall? Like, do you think this movie had any subtext at all? I didn't think so. I thought
yeah, no.
most of the ideas came across through dialogue. Like, perhaps the only idea that was not implicitly said, well, explicitly said, was Christoph Waltz's character uh, displaying his dead daughter onto Alita.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
wait, can we actually just get into spoilers already?
let's get into
All
spoilers.
right, we're
I
getting into
guess before we get
spoilers.
into spoilers, who would you recommend this movie to?
I guess people of anime, like anime fans, I would say this is a pretty good like action movie. If you're waiting to see that kind of same action from anime in live action, I've never seen. I don't know if it's an anime series also, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I've never seen it, so I don't know how like
Neither
accurate it
have I.
is, but it was pretty well. It was a good action movie, I guess. Other than that, I would not take kids to this movie. I'm not kidding. This movie is graphic. So,
Along
yeah.
those lines, I think those are also the people recommended. Anyone particularly interested in special effects should definitely watch this movie. And additionally, um, I guess my thing is like I'd like people to watch this movie and so this movie can profit in the box office mainly because if it flops what it tells to the industry is that the only blockbusters that modern audiences are going to be watching are superhero movies, and I hate that message because I feel like maybe this isn't the masterpiece we deserve, but it may be the first couple of steps. Like, I don't know. It feels like
Yeah.
I
I don't think this is
wish
the
it was
one.
better. That was my thing. But
Yeah.
I would say that it's important. I mean, important in quotations that people watch this because otherwise we're only gonna get superhero movies from now on, and honestly, that's getting really dull.
Yeah. I
Uh,
I agree with that, and I think that this movie has potential, maybe not in the US, to be that champion, but I just when I went to go see it, the theater wasn't even packed. And it was opening weekend. It was Saturday, like, and usually like movies are pretty packed, like just regardless. The whole front section, nobody was there. There was pockets, so I already was like, this is not a good sign. So for me personally, I want this to be successful, but I don't want them to make a sequel to this movie because it's not a good movie
interesting.
to me. But I
Okay.
understand the importance of its successful
Well,
need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So probably let's get into spoilers.
Spoilers.
Uh, First off, the relationship, I did not like it at all. And
The
I'm
love story, you
the
mean?
love story. I think my problem is the fact that we got the meet cute when the Alita and Hugo meet, and my main issue with that is like for the first like 30 minutes of the movie, Alita has the mindset of a 7 year old girl basically.
More or
Everything to
less.
her, and so for her to act that way and this grown man, well, not man, but like he's probably like what, 20,
Cause they,
22.
yeah, they drink at some point, and it's like
Yeah, I
if
mean
you're
it's
going
the
by like the legal
future, you don't
age,
really know.
this is
But
true.
let's say he's 22 and he's like hitting on her, like just because she's pretty. Like does he not care that she has the mind of a 7 year old? Like I don't know, that
Technically, she
just,
has the mind of a 300 something year old.
well, no, because she was basically like rebooted or
Oh
whatever.
yeah, no, I know, but
Like I
like
don't
her
know,
brain
like
is really
to me,
old.
like for him to be attracted to someone that acts like a child made me uncomfortable.
It's kind
And
of anime.
well, honestly, when they said like you're actually 300 years old, it's like so she's legal. Like I don't know, it's
Yes.
just that the whole like anime undertones of like, oh, she's not 10, she's actually a 5,000-year-old demon in the body of a 10-year-old. I don't
Dude,
know.
her eyes also didn't help this movie. Like with the anime parallels, like because I get it that she's like completely cyborg, but I don't understand why they wouldn't make like why they make like a realistic skin textured fake face with big
It,
eyes.
I
Like
think if we could have got we would have been in the uncanny valley of Tarkin in Rogue One, where he was completely like, because they tried him to make to look they tried to make him look like a human, but he was clearly not a real person. If Alita would have been completely
yeah,
modeled after a real person, we could have gotten that uncanny valley feel that, wait, no, this is all a computer surrounded
yeah.
by. So I think the fact that her eyes and, well, just her body in general was
It is a little bit
exaggerated
like
held to the
interesting
suspension
shape.
of disbelief.
Like her actual so spoiler alert, she gets two bodies. One body from the doctor who that's the body he made for his former
Daughter.
daughter who was also named Alita. By the way, I want to say this movie has one of my favorite characters. And I don't know her name. I'm just going to call her Nurse Makes Faces because all she does is make faces at any of the characters. Like I know the audio audience can't hear me, but basically just like she'll just stare at a character like so he the
Like,
actually
huh?
like
Huh?
yeah,
Ooh,
the
did
doctor
you?
names her Alita, and I was like, she looks at the doctor and I was like, oh, he definitely has a dead daughter named
Oh,
Alita,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
and then
And
come to find
so,
out he
like, now
does.
that we're touching that storyline, like, I like the fact that they never really explicitly said, like, you're my daughter now. Or, like, maybe they did say once
Uh,
that I'm not your daughter.
she says I'm not. She says it to him.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah,
think, but it was
she
well
calls him
handled, but
father
just
though.
like every emotional bit of the East movie, I was invested somehow. Like I felt like because it was so rushed and badly paced, like there was
Yeah,
never like a real payoff. Like I like the fact that the moment he stopped pretending she's his dead daughter, it's when they actually get along best in the
yeah.
movie, because he finally accepts her as her own individual. But I don't
Then she
feel like,
sees him as a father figure. Like she calls him father at one
yeah,
point,
yeah,
but it's like
yeah. Like that's when they get along, but it's just like you remember Logan when X-23 calls Wolverine daddy. That was like,
her
oh
name
my
was
god,
Laura.
heartbreaking. But here in this movie, there's like, I don't know, it was kind of emotionally devoid, like devoid of any emotion for me.
I think that's a consistent thing I would say throughout the entire movie is that not only like I feel like everything like all the payoffs to anything was missing in this movie like completely.
Yeah,
Like
the emotional payoffs
even the
were
ending,
missing.
like the ending is not a payoff. The ending is a setup.
It's the setup. Yep.
So like the whole movie kind of it feels like half a movie, which is so weird to say
Well,
because
to
it's a
me,
2 hour movie.
the entire movie felt like a Wikipedia synopsis of the Well, I haven't read the comic books or watched the anime series, but watching this movie feels like a recap. Like, have you remember? I think it was Hero Academia where they do a recap of like season 1 or something. Like the first episode of season 2 is a recap of season 1, like the story thus far.
Oh, kind of, yeah.
This is what this movie felt like to me. It's a 2 hour recap of 8 hour show, or maybe not that long, but like it just felt like a recap to me. And
But they
so
focus on like random things. Like okay, so the game Motorball, they devote an entire scene to her playing like a street version of that game,
uh
and
huh.
like it's like a maybe 7 8 minute scene, maybe even 10 minutes long, and like it sets up the I guess Hugo's like friends as characters, but then like it doesn't do anything other than really show us that that's a game. But we kind of already saw like glimpses of that from earlier in the movie, like whenever she like saw and like the doctor was like don't look at that, whatever, it's barbaric or something. But then the dumb thing is like that it's supposed to I guess set up the fact that she's curious and or she wants to do that like as a thing. But like even the thing that motivates her to do that, which is her like Hugo, she wants to get money for him so he can go to this floating city called something S-
Salmon. Let's call it Salmon.
salmon. And then like literally in the middle of the match, she bails because this guy. Okay,
He's in danger.
he's
You're
in
going all over the place.
because the movie's all over the place. Like the movie, there's all these stupid
I feel
little
like
like things.
they went pretty linear ish, but it's just
It's
like
like
I said, it's a recap. Like
yeah,
a part of me wishes the movie actually started where it ended. It's like okay,
I thought that's where it was. Like at least I thought that was gonna be the beginning because I didn't know that the motorball thing was even gonna be like an important part of the movie.
mm,
Like I didn't even know that's what that was by watching the trailers. Like I had no idea. I was like, oh, she's fighting these people in this weird arena thing. Dope, gonna be cool, right? And then we watch it, and it's actually like a big plot point. Like, and then the last, like, I guess arguably the climax of the movie is whenever Hugo dies.
twice.
Twice, actually, yeah. And they, why does his arm break? Like, what is it made out of?
What?
Remember, like she's holding him, and the arm like is like breaking or
Oh
whatever.
yeah,
Like,
I mean scraps. It makes sense. Like he was put together from scraps, so it was an aluminum maybe.
I don't know.
Honestly, Hugo's second death, like when it was
I
definitive,
laughed.
I
I
laughed.
laughed
I
real
laughed. Like
bad.
it looks
Oh,
so silly because it was
he has
like his
no head. He's a torso with a head.
yeah, and he's just like no, and she's like screaming from the top of like no,
Like
like it just looks
literally
silly.
screaming, and it's so funny watching this like weird robot anime girl scream in agony for a guy she's known for like 3 days. Because I don't even know how
I,
long
f-
the movie is.
I think
Like,
it's like a month,
you're
maybe.
probably right.
But like it doesn't feel like that
No,
because of this. Like that's why I don't like the fact that we had the Hugo and Alita meet because you don't buy the relationship, or at least I didn't,
I
like
didn't
ever.
personally, and
Like
it was such a big part of the movie. Like it was her whole
it was
reason
the
for
core
getting the motorball. The whole movie is basically wrapped around that relationship, and then every other like major thing that happens is sort of either like
tangent.
yeah, it's like related to or because of that. So like so okay, so he's showing her the like motorball like repair area, and like the villain and like the other villain I guess who's not a villain at the end, she changes her mind, and then like
Name him by actor
Mahershala
actress
Ali, and then I
and
don't know
Jennifer Connelly.
Jennifer Connelly. Okay, so basically like they see her and they're looking for her, right? Like they want to find her, and then they find her because she's just there with them with Hugo, and they're like, "Hey Hugo, uh, hey, can you get us your girlfriend's heart or something? Like, because her heart is really valuable." And
It's made of freaking dark matter or
yeah,
something.
she straight up gives him like. There's a really. Do you remember that scene?
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
do.
god! And she's like, that was a bit much, wasn't it? I was like,
Yeah,
yeah, it was.
when she literally takes her heart out and gives it to Hugo. It's like, I'll give you my heart. I
Yeah,
love you that much.
yeah,
And he's like, girl, calm down.
yeah.
And so,
I don't think
uh,
dude, that movie was pretty funny because like if I were him, I'd been like, bruh,
bruh.
you know, you could put your heart back in your shirt thing. Like she, I don't understand because she's like, you can buy you a lot of things, and I'm just like, yeah, it could power like everything for forever, you know? Like that's why it's valuable. And she's just like gonna give it to this random dude she met on the street. Like my biggest issue I think with her, like the meet cute or whatever,
Yeah,
is not like a meet cute by my standards. He like saves her from getting like
run
trampled,
over
but
by yeah.
yeah, but they don't even like really interact at that point because there's like a dog about to get run over. So she like goes back under this like stomping robot to get the dog, and she's more focused on the dog actually. And
Uh-huh.
then for whatever reason, like they both stand up and the doctor shows up. And he's like, "Oh, hey Hugo," and he's like, "Hey, I was just gonna get some parts or something." She's like, "Who's that?" And he's like, "That's Hugo." Hugo gets on a stupid little like unicycle motorcycle and just rides off. She just stares at him the entire time, like completely like love struck. They don't even like interact enough at all in my opinion to like have that, or like he doesn't.
Well, he's a bad boy.
No, he's but okay, he's a bad boy in terms of like the
Well, the, the
plot.
the 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 style and the look of it.
Okay, but like is he actually doing anything bad?
Oh,
No.
he is.
No, he is,
He's
but we don't know that until like,
okay. Okay,
so
sure.
like when we first see him we're just like maybe this is just a dude, this is how he like this he rides on this one, like, and you see a couple of them like these little one wheel motorcycles or whatever, but I don't know, it's just like he's a guy
I,
and she's just in love with him.
I think another problem I had with the story and the character arcs mainly, like for me, the example is with the Jennifer Connelly character, who is Christopher Waltz's ex-wife or just estranged wife.
Yeah,
She goes from like wanting to go back
the floating
to the
city.
floating city, and in the end, she's like,
Selling.
"I forgot that I'm a mother and a doctor first before my wants." So okay, she starts being really egocentric, and in the end, she's really selfless. There's nothing in between that indicates that character change.
She
Like,
sees Alita at one point.
and that's it.
But like she's like there. Is she there before or after? Whenever when
I
does
think she arrived like at the precise time when like Hugo is stabbed and Alita goes into the
yeah?
church to like, oh my love, you're dying. Uh,
There's no reason for her to be there, by the way.
But like what I mean is
Zero.
like say something like Finding Nemo. Like Marlin starts like an uptight dad, and then he's a cool dad by the end of the movie. Everything in between is related to his change from uptight to cool. Like the jellyfish stuff, the stuff with the sharks, the stuff with the turtles. It makes sense why in the end of his movie he's a cool dad. It doesn't make any sense that Jennifer Connelly's character becomes like so selfless. Like nothing happens to her. She doesn't take any actions until the plot requires her to do so.
Yeah.
And I felt like this little example of like it applies to every single other character. Like Hugo, like he's like, oh, I used to do bad things, but because I fell in love with you, I realized like that I gotta change my ways.
She
Like
changes like everybody, but I don't. She doesn't do anything to change anyone's mind, in my
not really
opinion.
like
Like
just
her
because she's
being
such a
there.
pure heart or whatever.
She kills people. Like she literally murders people. Like Christoph Waltz makes a joke. He's like, "Stay out here, but don't kill anyone," because she just killed two people. Like in the scene
Yeah,
before that.
yeah, literally.
She's not
Uh,
like she's not. She's an angel in the arena or something. Whatever
yeah,
they call her.
and the bar scene when she becomes okay. The whole
The
uh,
dog.
well, yeah, that was
Never
cruel
forget.
when they killed the dog. But did you see that the dog is actually alive? Like, there's some ads that show that the dog was saved and given a cybernetic body. I saw that today. So the dog is alive, and now it's got like a cyborg body. Just like Hugo by the end of the movie,
Interesting.
like the dog just became a head attached to the cybernetic body. But I digress. Like the
Yeah.
bar scene, I guess it was a purpose to establish a bunch of other characters, but like the plan was just idiotic. I thought like she was trying to
Um.
inspire everyone with the speech that we gotta
Yeah.
unite to take down this baddie, who, like for the most of the movie, he was the biggest threat. He was such a
He fights and
non-threat.
then runs away, and then fights and then runs away. Like every single time they had an interaction with him, he constantly just kept.
Like beat him like really easily.
She had one hand and still managed to stab this guy in the eye with
Yeah,
that one hand. Like she was basically like how like Hugo was in the end of the movie. He was just a torso, except she had one hand,
yeah.
and then she somehow like did like a push up and stabbed. Like I never felt worried for her life,
Oh no, never.
especially when she got her new body. Which she
She was
has
invincible. Like
yeah.
so. no stakes. I mean, well, her stakes were Hugo, but I didn't particularly care for him. Like honestly, like it's just like Christoph Waltz is so charismatic for me. Although, did you notice that his Austrian accent just like came and went? Like,
What I was really confused about that because what is he trying to be?
what do you mean?
Because like, what is his accent? Because like I didn't understand like because so the whole like the area they live in it's like a multicultural like there's just every type of person is there like it's different but I don't even know if like Austria
It's
exists
kind of like
anymore.
Blade Runner. You remember where everyone just talks a lot of different languages, like mainly English, Spanish, Japanese. I thought that was kind of like the same, but a lot of like Arabic languages.
I
But
just
I
feel
don't
like
know.
I'm willing
I
to
mean,
buy
he
Blade
was
Runner
just being
more.
himself. Like
Yeah, like
sometimes he talk in really neutral English, and then like
yeah,
full Austrian
yeah.
accent. But like it's just that I like him a lot, mainly because Hans Landa in Inglourious Bastards. But
What?
like he was the only character that I was like, oh no, he's gonna
Freaking
die, and
Django.
he doesn't.
Oh yeah.
Like I thought
It
he had death flag written all over him. When he nothing happens to him. Like
every
he bleeds
character
a little
other than
bit.
him died actually. Like every Mahershala Ali dead.
Jennifer
Jennifer Connelly. Well,
Connelly.
she's not even
Well,
technically dead. She's like eyes and a brain in a box. Again,
yeah.
her whole like character arc unfulfilled. Like Mahershala Ali does nothing the entire movie. He literally
He was such
has
a pawn. Like honestly, it's
yeah.
like how do you like an
He's
actor who can be
so
so
good.
threatening to just be
Where he's like sitting down in like a car and just
he's just
looking
trying to be
menacingly.
Morpheus somehow.
But he
Like I
looks
don't
so
know.
cool at
He
that
looks
point.
cool.
But then the rest of the movie, you're just like, this
And
is
he's just
dumb.
working for Nova, played by an uncredited Edward
I
Norton.
looked at that. I couldn't find
Like
him. Edward Norton as Nova, the guy you
real
can
baddie.
watch through. Yeah, the like actual
But
one.
and here's the thing: is like this movie ends with a setup of like because Nova essentially got Hugo killed. Alita's motivation is to go to the Salmon City
Salmon.
in the sky, just to kill Edward Norton. But that's the thing is like now that's a really clear, defined goal: revenge. And if the movie had started like that, and we just got a few glimpses of backstory of like Hugo's, like, uh, I would have suspended my disbelief as to like their chemistry and all that stuff. Like honestly, I felt like this may sound a little too much like Rachel in Blade Runner, or some versions of Ghost in the Shell, or like the whole idea of fake memories exist. Like if the movie had started with Alita, maybe not even fake memories, but like just the doctor completely playing the fact that, oh, you're my biological daughter and you lost your memories, and it was a story. Like the story started with her already dating Hugo. Like I don't know, it's just like the fact that seeing a relationship being born, and the entire love relationship, like seeing the entire arc, to me it makes me all the more critical about it, because every second it's not believable, it counts against it. But if it's a relationship that's already established in the backstory, like I would have bought it. I don't know.
I think I don't even know if you could save this movie with like saying doing like a Christopher Nolan thing where you just like jump around in time. And they even do that. They have flashbacks, but like for
They're
me, I
more
found
like like her past life is
yeah,
coming back to her.
that's another interesting sort of I guess plot point that she discovers that being in like a high stress situation or like
Triggers some
yeah, like
memory. It's kind
she
of like PTSD.
yeah, which makes sense and I thought it was interesting, but they just kind of stop doing that cuz she figures out everything basically she needs to know halfway through the movie
Oh,
almost.
there's an F bomb.
There's one.
Yeah, I was surprised. Like
What's a PG-13 movie?
yeah,
You can
yeah,
get one.
you get one, but it's like
Didn't
we
know
didn't
she knew
need
that
it.
word.
What?
I didn't know she knew that word. I don't know
Well,
how.
yeah, right. I was surprised. Like, I didn't know she knew. Who taught you how to curse?
She didn't know what chocolate was, but she knows the F word.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Uh, I think. Well, like I mentioned, like James Cameron wrote the first draft of this script like 20 years ago. I
It
feel
shows,
it
but
kind of shows, especially the dialogue, like you mentioned. Like it's pretty cringy at times.
it feels like a first pass. Like they just wrote
Yeah.
the movie and they didn't work on any of the dialogue after that. They just were like, "This is fine." God, there's one more point in the movie I can't remember it to save my life, but I remember verbally laughing out loud, like just because of what they said. And it was just the way they said it and what they said was hilarious. Like,
Hmm.
and I felt like the movie was like that a lot.
But I feel like I'm talking to like really badly about this movie. It's really well. The problem is the story for me and like how it's devoid of a lot of payoffs. But I still think it's worth it for the action. Maybe I don't know. It's just like I'm tied up to recommending this movie and having people see it just so like you said, like I'm not particularly interested about a second movie in this franchise, but I don't know. I just want to see more blockbusters that are not superhero movies.
I think like I feel bad about talking bad about this movie because it's
Well,
not
it's a lot of
terrible,
passion.
but
It's a 20-year-old passion project,
yeah.
and you can tell.
But I'm tired of mediocrity. Like in blockbusters specifically, like if you're gonna get like $100 million plus for a budget, I don't know why people are giving you money. Like I told you this earlier. If me or you wrote this movie, we never would have got the budget for it. If it wasn't James Cameron and it didn't have like Roberto Rodriguez attached to it, there's no way we would have ever got this movie made because it's not a good script. The story is like basically a setup. Really, they could have just started at the halfway point of this movie and then like us actually get, it was called Zalem.
There you go.
Zalem. If we started this movie seeing Zalem, which we do, and then actually get to Zalem and she kills the big baddie at the end of the movie, it would have been, pretty typical, simple story. But I feel like the action in between would have been sort of unique enough to carry this movie beyond like mediocrity.
Hmm.
But we didn't get that. I couldn't believe that we never got to Zalem. We all we see is the bottom of it, and I never thought that we
I
would do
guess
that.
when we finally see Nova,
We see a room.
we see a room. So like that doesn't say much.
Yeah. And like the thing I want to know most about Nova, and this another thing this movie bothers me is because it put so many interesting questions. I think like, is Nova even important on Zalem, or is he just like some small figure on Zalem where that
Actually, a
doesn't mean
pretty cool
anything?
question. Didn't even think about. But yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. That's a pretty compelling question.
Also, like, why once you come down from Zalem, can you not go back up? Because they talk about Christopher Waltz's and Jennifer Connelly's character. They had something wrong with
Christoph.
their daughter, Christoph. Yeah, they had something wrong with their daughter, and they were forced to come down. But you think if there was
Maybe
some,
only the healthy and rich can be there and
but
be.
what's the point of being healthy and rich if you can't fix your and like futuristic if you can't fix someone's ailment?
Maybe you have to be like maybe cybernetics are outlawed up there.
Guns are okay. Here's another thing. This
Guns
is
are outlawed,
but
but
this one guy
every
has a
other
rocket
weapon is
launcher.
completely fine.
This guy literally had like in the motorball thing. You remember like when it's like her versus everybody else. This one guy has it's not a rocket launcher. It's like a fire launcher. It's it shoots a projectile. I'm like, what is the definition for gun like in this movie? Or like because and it's no guns. They're punishable by death, and everybody abides by that.
You know what
There's
I
no guns in this movie.
you know what else I hated? The fact that like it's like justice is served by your own hand and like there's no police, but the bounty hunters stick by laws. I was like, how? Like
Yeah.
I thought you were like rogues or cowboys. Like you play by your own rules. No, there's a
No.
sacred code where like, oh, you can't steal my bread.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't know. Like there was like some inconsistencies
Oh no,
like
there's a
that.
very big inconsistency.
Yeah,
So
like
like
it's
whenever
like
the big guy
guns are
kills that one
outlawed.
dude,
There's no police, but like
there is
there's
kind of a police though,
enforcement.
right?
The
Because
what?
so whenever that one guy with the sword,
Yeah,
he's like, I guess he's one of the like B story
yeah.
characters almost where he's like in the background just like mad because she beat him up in a bar, and he kills this one guy. He's like, "You're a murderer, Hugo." He's like, "No, I'm not," and he just kills
Kill
this one guy.
someone.
He chops his head off,
Yeah.
and then he kills his friend. He's like, "You're a murderer," and like, who says who? Like
Says who?
you just killed them. Like, and then I don't know if it's like the Hunter
I think
Warriors
the
get the
way
be all end
they
all.
I think the way they explained that why Hugo was framed because he was already suspected from attacking people. So like,
No, but
but
he
I don't know
wasn't.
how quick the whole thing of like, oh yeah, he's a murderer. He's a wanted murderer,
It was
nonetheless.
like 5 minutes
It was
because like
five
I was
minutes.
chasing him like while she was at the race. Also, he was Alita's coach. Dude wasn't even at the thing like with her. Like if he was there when she was getting ready, he never would have gotten killed
Yeah.
because
He had to say to his friends, "We can't mug people anymore."
it was so convenient. Like, and he catches them mid mugging somebody. I thought he was the leader,
Uh huh.
but
I
no, they just mug people without him.
Yeah.
He, there's
Well,
a
they do drop a line where it's like, "Well, you haven't even been helpful the last couple of times." Like,
dude. I remember the line I was telling you about.
oh, what was the line that made you
So
laugh out loud?
there's a line in the movie where Hugo is telling Alita, "I never killed anyone. I just like took people's
I just
limbs
took away
and
their
like,
limbs.
yeah."
Yeah.
And then he says like, "I left them paralyzed or something, or like, or just left them there." I was like, "What?
Yeah. It
That's
was
not much better." Like, and she doesn't care about that. Like, she really doesn't. She's just like, "Oh,
no.
Hugo, my poor Hugo," and like, I'm like, "Bro, he just said that." And I was like, what the heck?" And God, I don't know. I just this movie for me,
Needed another draft,
it
and to cut off a lot of like
just
unnecessary B plots. I thought.
yeah, it kind of runs the same. Have you seen Bumblebee?
Nope.
Okay, Bumblebee has a really cool scene or opening sequence where you see Cybertron, and it's dope. But the rest of the movie, not a huge fan of. If it was just a huge war on Cybertron, I know it'd be probably way more expensive, but it would be really cool. This movie kind of has the same thing where like the flashback or the thing that happened first technically in chronological order, like her war flashbacks, I would have much rather had the movie start there, like, and then we just jump to her being, I guess, found by Kristoff, and then like, or not even found, like maybe we just like they just started, and then we fill in the blanks, like
Yeah.
through like
I feel like this
stuff in the
movie
movie,
felt the need to explain every single little thing about
like
it,
an anime dub.
like an anime dub. And I wish they had left a little to our imagination. Like the only thing like up to our imagination is how Solemn actually looks, and everything regarding Solemn is still like
It
up
looks
to the
really pretty,
animation.
actually.
I
Like
think so too, yeah.
from the
But
stuff you can see,
I
anyways.
guess a completely separate question: has this compelled you into watching the original anime or reading the comic books? Not really.
No,
I am like I feel like I will give it a read because I feel like it is actually a really cool world. But the fact that they had to cram in all this world building into a 2 hour movie is like, yeah, there's probably not enough.
I'm trying to think if 30 more minutes would have added anything to this movie, like a 2.5 hour movie. They could have
I mean,
spaced
they
it
could have
out.
flushed out like maybe a couple of the payoffs that we felt denied of. Maybe.
I'm mad because we never got to Zalem.
Oh,
Like,
I'm pretty sure they didn't shoot that.
well, no, I'm a lawyer, but like as a story, it's just
Ah,
like I don't know why you would show us something. It's like there's like a thing that like Hitchcock says about like a bomb, like if you like show it like ticking,
yeah,
like it should go off or
it's
whatever.
the
But like you can't.
Chekhov's gun.
Yeah. So like I don't like seeing something and then not at all getting to just it looks so pretty. Like I want to see it and I'm mad and I don't know. The movie just it just felt like it wasn't completely at every level like story wise for me.
Uh huh.
So I don't know.
Are you excited about Avatar 2? If this is the
I'm
same
not gonna
technology?
lie,
Yeah.
no, because this movie, if this is
The
something,
level of quality
it
or what?
visually it has me excited for Avatar because if maybe if is I don't know if Weta is working with James Cameron on Avatar 2, but this movie is so like okay. And Avatar 2, like I read it like a quote from an interview like a couple years ago. James Cameron said this movie's gonna like basically make us like crap our pants like visually.
Hmm.
I don't know what that means. Like what I don't know. My mind has been like racing for like the last couple of years just thinking about that because I don't understand how he can push the medium further. You know, like it just seems so like far off. And I'm excited, but I have lower expectations. It's like episode 9 after watching episode 8.
Uh huh.
You
For
know,
Star
like
Wars, in
yeah,
case
it's
people
just
don't know what we're talking about.
oh yeah. But I don't know. I guess this is probably a pretty good stopping off point for this.
Sure.
I think this movie.
Would you watch a sequel of this movie? Like if they if the trailer shows you Solo, would you watch this movie? Like the sequel?
Um, it would have to be. like I'd have to see her doing stuff in Zalem. I couldn't just see her like I couldn't just see the city in the trailer. Like if I saw the city, I'd just be like, this is lame because we might. Not, I want to see her like wrecking shop or tearing down like because her the like Michelle Rodriguez's like Martian alien character says finish the mission, destroy Zalem. It'd be so dope to see this city like falling from the sky, like the Titanic sinking or something. Like it'd be so cool. I mean, I guess it's awful because there's probably millions of people that live there or something. But I don't know. But it would still be a cool visual, like in a movie. But if I didn't see anything like that or any hints of that in a trailer, I don't think I'm gonna watch it.
I may read the comic book and see what happens afterwards. I feel like I would watch this movie, but again, it's because I'm really adamant about the message of sending Hollywood that yeah, we will also watch blockbusters that are not superhero movies. So maybe just for that reason, I would watch the sequel. But I mean, I guess as an ad for the comic books or the original anime, this movie may have done its job in interesting me enough in reading the source material. So, uh, big Marvel and special effects, like I think this is technology that I hope like it looks like it put the finale of Black Panther to shame in my opinion because this looks way better than the Black
That
Panther
movie is just
finale.
so disappointing. The more I think about it, I rewatched The Dark Knight over the weekend because my mom got a 4K TV and I
Oh
own that
wow,
movie in 4K, but I've never been able to see it in 4K. And I'm watching. It's like, God,
phenomenal.
this is like, what the heck,
Everything's
guys?
practical. They literally pulled over an 18 wheeler in the middle of Chicago. That's
So
just
cool.
amazing.
And then no, that movie doesn't get nominated. And like, if there was ever any superhero movie to get nominated, for me it should have been that one, and then it should be Infinity War. But like either of those didn't get nominated, and like, I just don't
And all right.
like. The more I think about it, don't know. But Lita, if you like anime, go watch it. If you're a fan of the original, probably like it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I've
Well,
never seen the original, but yeah,
this was our
that's
thoughts and prayers episode. Catch us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, and SoundCloud. And
our
yeah,
YouTube channel as well.
yep. Catch us. Catch you later.
Bye. Look at that thing.